from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, February 10th. So the moon is in Gemini all day. This is definitely opening up our minds. We are definitely curious. We're a little bit more sociable, but we're also a little bit overwhelmed in our mental planes. We have a lot of mental processing going on, especially because Mercury, who rules over Gemini, is trying to get his bearings. Of course, he just woke up from his retrograde, still in his post-shadow period, and now we are kind of exploring past topics and themes in order to gain a different perspective and new insight. There are 10 different aspects taking place here today. 8 of them involve the moon. Right out of the gate, we have the moon squaring with Jupiter, and this is likely going to overwhelm us in our mental plane because Jupiter is a little bit extra. He turns the volume all the way up, and of course, with the moon in Gemini, we are looking to make sense between our heart and our head. We are looking for a little bit of stable ground, and this is definitely going to push us in overload when it comes to actually processing these new thoughts, these new feelings, this new perspective, this new understanding. And it can feel a little bit manic, a little bit restless, and create a little bit of anxiety. The moon is going to sextile Chiron, though, the wounded healer, and this is definitely a beautiful opportunity to gain some insight that is going to lead us to actually heal some of the parts that have been a little bit sticky, a little bit wounded, asking for our attention. This is definitely a high potential for an aha moment, gaining new perspective, gaining new information, processing all the ins and outs of everything that has transpired, and giving us a beautiful, beautiful picture on what it is that we now have a full understanding of, little bits and pieces of clarity coming in that really does provide a little bit of healing to some of the rougher topics that we've been really struggling to comprehend. The moon is going to bump into Uranus, though, Uranus being the higher level intellect, of course, Mercury being the lower level intellect. This Uranian energy has the potential to really create a lot of confusion in us. Why? Because we have a lot going on. We have to remember we're still very much in the middle of this 22222 portal that will be closing on the 22nd. These are high energy waves coming in, trying to help us release, trying to help break up the density of our carbon-based DNA. This is a lot of electricity coming into the cosmos, into our bodies. Although Uranian energy does want us to see the bigger, broader picture here and download us with some insights, this particular energy, especially coming from our outside earthly realm, isn't making a whole lot of sense to us. We are definitely in the phase where we are more reliant on our intuition, on our hopefulness, on our optimism, because our physical realms aren't giving us the key indicators that we actually need right now to feel as hopeful and as positive as we are trying to hold on to when we lean into our intuition. The moon is going to make a little bit of a conflicting aspect with Mercury, its ruler, Pluto, the great transformer himself, and Mars, who is still in Capricorn energy. Let me tell you, there's a high probability that we're going to kind of sink into that negative narrative. Negative Nancy might come out to play, right? That confusion that we just got from this Uranian energy tends to mix us all up and take us away from the intuitional gut feelings that we were holding on to. Now we're looking at our earthly realms. We're really getting caught up in the egoic perspective of it all. We're having a lot of negative thoughts. We're having a lot of misunderstandings within ourselves that will likely overflow into our energy exchanges and communication exchanges with other people. We do have a high potential right now to get trapped in a trauma or drama cycle. What does that mean? Well, we could lash out. We could take our inner confusion, our inner uncertainty, our doubts, our just discombobulation at this point, and we could project that outside of ourselves. We could maybe not be looking for a fight, but it could definitely turn into something if we're not careful. A lot of this is because we are restless. We want change so freaking bad. We want to move forward. We want to grow. We want to be productive. But a lot of the elements in our physical realms are really holding us back from that, pushing us inside of ourselves, really trying to find the light, the silver linings, the glimmer of hope, the glimmer of optimism and confidence that we need to hold strong in our mind's eye until our physical realms start producing some of those signs and symbols to validate for us that yes, things are getting better. Yes, things are changing. Yes, we are on the right path. And yes, we are going to reach our end goal. The sun is going to be bumping into Neptune, and this is definitely going to help us out because Neptune is in Pisces in its place of power. Of course, the sun is in Aquarius. We're futuristically focused. We are connected to the higher realms. We are dreamy. We are imaginative. We are definitely reliant on our intuition right now. And this is pushing us past that dark ego part that we would have had earlier in the day and really trying to remind us that guess what? When we push our ego aside and we actually align with our higher selves, that we do feel like things are going to be better. We trust the bigger, greater, grander plan right now. We know we have to be patient, and we know that when we want to escape from our outside realm, we can move inward and really find a new strength, a new hope, a new optimism by listening to our higher selves. The moon is going to bump into Venus though, and Venus is now at her highest point. She is the brightest star, if you will. She is coming out of her darkness. As you know, she was in a retrograde. As you know, she's still fighting her way into becoming up to full speed. But right now she's returning to the night sky as one of the brightest stars. And this is definitely going to shift our perspective, not only in our value and our worth, but in our love and in our money matters. But right now, this is not the best aspect for the moon to be bumping into Venus about. This is kind of creating a lot of indecisiveness. Yes, we know what we got to do, but we can't do it now. So what are we going to do now? What do we have control over? Now we get a little bit stuck because we're attached to the old. We're attached to the past. The confusion that we had earlier on in the day, especially looking at our earthly realms, is definitely coming back to full force because, of course, Venus rules over our lower level earthly plane where relationships and routines and value and worth and money matters and love is concerned. And like I said, our earthly realm is really not validating for us that we are moving into a better space, that we are making better changes. Things are stalled out and we do have to be patient. Mars is going to bump into the true node. And let me tell you, this is a time where we got to get down to business, where we can't sit in our thoughts, we can't sit in our feelings for too long, where we have to muster up the courage, where we have to take control over what it is that we actually have control over in the here and now. This is almost asking us to emotionally detach from our situations, to mentally shut down from processing what it is that we're actually dealing with in the here and now, and just kind of compartmentalize what we got going on in our inner realms to focus on what we can build, what we can strengthen, what we can kind of form, what we can create in the here and now. We have to remember that Mars is in Capricorn. Capricorn energy is all business. We got to get down to the nitty gritty. We got to get in alignment. We got to take control over what it is that we have control over. And a lot of the times that means being very rigid in our emotions in order to get shit done. Lastly, we have the moon trining with Saturn. Saturn is going to help us slow us down. And Lord Jesus knows we need to slow down in the mental plane, right? We might not be making a whole lot of efforts and productivity in our physical realms, but our heads are just a spinning. Our heart space isn't that far behind. So Saturn is going to help us slow down, get a good pace to manage our energy, manage our thoughts so that we don't have a million freaking windows open in our brain, that we can actually sit down one thought at a time, see it to completion, and actually see where the systems and structures are helping us to build new ways of doing things. Why? Because we need to change the methodology in which we've been waking up and operating through our day-to-day life, the narrative, the perspective, the emotions that we've been having, because we're detaching from the past and we're not yet standing in our futuristic path and vision. Saturn, again, karma. Saturn, roles and responsibilities. Saturn, tough love life lessons. He wants us to slow down and really perfect our thoughts and our emotions to get on the same page before we're just wasting our energy willy-nilly, spreading ourselves too thin, not being able to complete a thought, and not really in touch with what is going on in our mental plane and in our heart space.